Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, March 24th, I think. Day 40 of Carnivore. So I was thinking about what I was going to say in this video. I did not do strict. I played in and out of dairy. Now, when I say strict, I mean meat, salt, water, fat, electrolytes. For some other people, putting in dairy and eggs, that's all strict. Anything that's an animal product. What these 40 days have taught me is that on occasion I am still an emotional eater. I have gone from, my journey has gone from being a fast food addict. This was a year or so ago. Really having to look at my emotional eating behaviors. And I realized, well, I started back when I weighed 260 pounds, which was 10 years ago. I started looking at the whole, when I got diagnosed 7 years ago as a type 1, I was really looking at the fast food thing, issue. And I got off of fast food, quit eating that, but I realized that at that time, I just had replaced my fast food addiction with an alcohol addiction. And what's really interesting is I had not ever really drank. Before then, I was not one of those teenagers that went out and drank with their friends. That was not me. So I went and I replaced the fast food addiction with the alcohol addiction. And then I think I went to a carb addiction, not ever really addressing the emotional piece. So coming around to the carnivore, there were 2 different times, and one was just yesterday, which just shows me that I still have work to do. So somewhere around before Christmas or around Christmas, I thought that I could go and be normal and eat a gluten-laden Italian meal with Roger on our way into town. We were going to do some Christmas shopping. We had a counselor's appointment to go to, and we had a chiropractor's appointment to go to, and we stopped at this Italian restaurant that we've eaten at in times past, had not eaten there, and I thought, oh yeah, I can have ravioli. I haven't had this kind of food in a long time. I can have ravioli, and I can have a bite of his lasagna, and I can eat cannelloni, I think is what it was, and pretty much probably within the hour, my stomach just, it wasn't like I was going to throw up, but there was pain, and it was cramping, and it, now, afterwards, I'm thinking, okay, I just had a severe, what did I just do to myself? A severe reaction to gluten. So at that point, it was like, Amy, you cannot, Amelia, you cannot be eating these kinds of food. You are not healed yet. Don't fool yourself. Don't think and see the mind takes over and says, oh, yes, we can. We can be normal and eat these foods when you can't. And so yesterday, and I debated on whether to be honest in this video or not, and that's part of the game I have played with myself for years, is that I pretend. It's like, oh no, I didn't do that. Well, yes, you did. But that didn't really count. Yes, it did. So yesterday, big emotional day in my house. I'm not going to go into details, but it was pretty emotional. Plus, we have all the stress of this virus and money, and is Roger going to get any more jobs, and should we pay bills or should we not pay bills? And so there's just a lot of stuff, but it escalated yesterday. And I went to my office and I ate potato chips, carbs that I have not had in a long time. And my stomach just, within an hour, my body was like, what are you doing to me? And then it didn't help that I went to McDonald's and had 2 cheeseburgers. I don't eat the buns. I just get the plain cheeseburger. And I don't know, that I just didn't feel well by the time I got home. And I threw up. It was like I had the flu, but I didn't have the flu. And I think it's a carb flu. I don't know if I know that's a term I've heard. But yeah, so yesterday, I ate a lot I probably ate 5, if you wanted to measure it, 5 cups of potato chips. And I already know that my body doesn't like potato chips, potatoes. It's like allergic. It has an allergic reaction. Being a type 1 diabetic, all of those of you out there that are type 1s are going, oh my God. Yeah. And so I didn't have a problem with taking insulin for it. But after I threw it up, those of you that are type 1s, you're like, okay, I just dosed for this food and now I've thrown it up. So what's going to happen to my sugars? And I just decided not to take any insulin through the night. And yes, I woke up with a high number. But so those are a couple of the things that I've learned in this 40-day stint. And I'm thinking about what I want to do for my next 40 days. And I don't know if I'm ready to totally get off. So I have coffee. If I'm honest, I probably have coffee twice a week, which a lot of people would say, oh, that's not that bad. But when I have issues with oxalates, and I believe I have issues with dairy, there's no way around explaining and making it okay and pretending like I don't have an issue with oxalates. Coffee is an oxalate. It may be a low oxalate, but it's still an oxalate. And butter, no matter how many grass-fed cows made the butter, it's still a dairy. So I'm debating on whether I'm going to get rid of the coffee and the butter. And my alternative doctor says I need more fat. So I did buy more tallow. And, of course, my bone broth has wonderful fat in it. And then ghee is the other that's not clarified butter. Ghee is clarified butter, and I don't think it's defined as a dairy product. But I'll have to look into that. So, yeah, I think the next 40 days is going to be what I call strict. And I'm human just like everyone else. And I'm not perfect. And we all have our battles that we have to deal with trying to heal our bodies. That's exactly why I'm doing this. I'm trying to heal my body. And I think I need to reevaluate my why and keep that foremost in my mind, that why am I doing this? And like yesterday, I've been trying to go through, and I've been dealing with my emotional eating for a couple of years now. And it's like, I need another plan in place. When I go to reach for things I know I don't want to be eating, I think I need to write up a card that has my why on it that says, okay. And then if I choose to go ahead and do it, then at least it's not a mindless activity. It's mindful, meaning I've read over my card and I still want to eat the potato chips. But now that I've had this experience, I don't think I'll ever eat another cheeseburger from McDonald's. Not that that was the problem. But I think I'll think twice about eating potato chips and having a carb flu and a carb overload, and realizing that I had not had carbs, just like the gluten incident. I had not had gluten for over a year. And then I think I can go, and it just shows you how much of a poison those foods are. At least that's what it shows to me. So, yeah. So, how are all of you doing with this whole coronavirus thing? I'm learning to change my terminology, my verbiage around it. There's a gal, Tanya Gabriella, who does numerology, who does a numerology forecast, and I like what she's implementing. And she's calling the coronavirus the crown virus to try and shift it from a negative to a positive energy, and also a spiritual quarantine instead of a quarantine, which a lot of people are freaking out about. But I like the whole spiritual quarantine because I really do believe on a higher consciousness level that this is all happening on purpose and for a reason. And we need to raise ourselves out of the third dimension and into another higher consciousness of thinking about it, and go from a negative ground floor energy field to a positive higher energy field, and know that I know that everything is happening as it needs to, because what's happening now is needed for what I'm doing 5 minutes from now, and an hour from now, and 3 days from now, and a year from now. Most of us are going to live right through this stuff, and a year from now we're going to look back on it and hopefully remember all the things we learned. So I think it's all perfect. And yes, people are going to die, and I'm not even going to say it's unfortunate, because the way I believe is that there is an agreement between the soul, the spirit, and their journey in this lifetime. And so those people that are dying have an agreement that this is the way they're going out of this third dimension. That is how I believe. Some people think it's harsh. Some people think it's crazy. Some people think it's the woo-woo stuff. But that's how I believe. And if I would get the virus and die from it, then there was an agreement somewhere. I may not be conscious of that agreement, but the agreement was made somewhere that was how I was going to go out of this third dimension. So I know I'm a little out there on the edge sometimes from what other people think, but that's who I am. So day 40, and I will decide what I'm doing for the next 40. But I have lost weight. I feel good. I have more energy. My rashes on my arms are, I would say, gone. They are gone. I don't have any more itchy spots. I just look forward to my fingers are better. I know when I started, my fingers were, these two fingers, I think it's an oxalate dump. And or it may be rheumatoid arthritis. I don't know. I'm not getting that diagnosed. But yeah, so we're looking forward to the future and regaining even more health. And when I get my sugars down, in the periods of time that I've had my sugar down, my hair grows. So there's an energetic thing that's happening there. When my sugars are high, my body has to work to deal with the high sugars. And so I'm still on that trek, and more days in these last 40 days, they've been in the normal range, which I call between 80 and 100. Than they have in the previous 40. So I am making progress. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm almost there. So I trust you've all enjoyed this, and I'll be back with more. Thank you. Bye.